With permission. What?
Leader Mr. Tirchi Siva raised a question. Honorable Chairman, supplementary question. Honorable Chairman, observe. Don't lecture.
No point of order.
Please,
there is
1 minute.
There is no point of order. Sri Ravi Chandra Vadiraju ji.
Thank you, sir. I rise today bring to the attention of this House several urgent issues affecting Singareni College Company Limited, SCCL, a company that is not only important for India's coal production but also the main source of livelihood for lakhs of families in Telangana's coal belt. Sir, in the last few months, SCCL's coal production and coal dispatches have dropped sharply, mainly because of heavy monsoon rains and flooding. This decline is now affecting power supply commitments, planning for the coming months, and SCCL's target of 72 million tons for 2025-26. This company needs support and quick decisions to recover from these setbacks. At the same time, key expansion projects such as the Kottagudam, VK open cast mine and JK OCP and Gundala projects in Illandu are still waiting for approvals from different authorities. These delays are slowing down SCCL growth and also affecting coal availability for the southern region, sir. Sir, as the company expands, safety, efficiency and environmental protection must be the top priorities. Workers are demanding better monitoring systems, modern machinery and faster clearance so that mining is both safe and sustainable, sir. There is also discussion about SCCL rapid diversification into rare earths, critical minerals, battery storage, pumped hydro, wind energy and geothermal energy. The company needs clear support from the union government to move confidently into these new sectors. And some even speak of an SCCL Videsh model in the future, sir. Sir, workers also worried about talk of a possible disinvestment public issue in 2026. Finally, SCCL officers are still not receiving their performance-related pay, PRP, on par with Coal India Limited. Even though the government India holds 49% stake. This delay is disappointing and demoralizing for officers who work hard to maintain India's energy security. Through this House, I request the Union Government to take urgent steps to support SCCL Singareni College Company Limited. Its production, its workers, its finance and its news diversification plan, sir. Thank you, sir. This is the situation, sir, in Telangana.
Mamta Meghanta. श्रीमती ममता मेघंता।
धन्यवाद सभापति महोदय। देशव्यापी भावे पर्यटन संपर्कित आधारित शौचारण को सुदृढ़ करने आदिवासी कल्याण को प्राथमिकता देवा एवं इको टूरिज्म को प्रोत्साहन देवा पाई केंद्र सरकार करुथिबा निरंतर
that he should meet the honorable chairman inside the chamber and discuss about it. That will be better.
Madam, please continue.
निरंतर उद्यम प्रशंसनीय। पूर्व भारत एवं आदिवासी प्राधान्य अंचल मुख्यधारा पर्यटन सहित संबंध करिबारे सरकारक पदक्षेप उल्लेखनीय। एही परिप्रेक्षी रे कोरापुट मयूरभंज एवं सिमलीपाल अंचल रे थिबा आदिवासी संपद प्राकृतिक सौंदर्य कॉफी प्लांटेशन वेलनेस टूरिज्म संभावना एवं सिमलीपाल टाइगर रिजर्व परी प्राकृतिक धरोहर विशाल पर्यटन संभावना सृष्टि करिपारे। स्थानीय आदिवासी संस्कृति हस्तशिल्प लोकनृत्य जंगल सफारी इको ट्रोल एवं वेलनेस कार्यक्रम स्थानीय युवक एवं महिला पाई सार्वजनिक जीविका सृष्टि करिपारे। यहाँ पाई आवश्यक आधारित संरचना कौशल विकास समुदाय दक्षता वृद्धि एवं पर्यटन प्रशासन बृहत्तर गठन आवश्यक। ସାର୍ କୋରାପୁଟ ଜିଲ୍ଲା ଏବଂ ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜ ଶିମିଳିପାଳ ଆଦିବାସୀ ଏବଂ ପ୍ରକୃତି ଆଧାରିତ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟଟନ ବିକାଶ ପାଇଁ ବିଶେଷ ଯୋଜନା କିମ୍ବା ନୀତି ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତ କରାଯାଉ। ସ୍ଥାନୀୟ ଯୁବକ ଏବଂ ମହିଳାଙ୍କୁ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟଟନ ଇକୋ ଟ୍ରୋଲ ପରିଚାଳନା ହସ୍ତଶିଳ୍ପ ବିପଣନ ସହିତ ଯୋଡ଼ିବା ପାଇଁ କୌଶଳ ବିକାଶ ଏବଂ ପ୍ରଶିକ୍ଷଣ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମକୁ ବିସ୍ତାରିତ କରାଯାଉ। ଶିମିଳିପାଳ ସହିତ ସମଗ୍ର ଅଞ୍ଚଳକୁ ୱେଲନେସ୍ ଏବଂ ଇକୋ ଟୁରିଜିମ୍ ହବ୍ ଭାବେ ବିକାଶ କରିବାକୁ ଆବଶ୍ୟକ। ଆଦିବାସୀ କଳା ସଂସ୍କୃତି ନୃତ୍ୟ ହସ୍ତଶିଳ୍ପ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟଟନ ସହିତ ସଂଗଠିତ ଭାବେ ଯୋଡ଼ିବା ପାଇଁ ଦୀର୍ଘକାଳୀନ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ ପରିକଳ୍ପନା କରାଯାଉ। ମାନ୍ୟବର ସଭାପତି ମହୋଦୟ ଯଥା ଆଧୁନିକ ପରିଚାଳନା ଏବଂ ସମୁଦାୟ ଭାଗିଦାର ନିଶ୍ଚିତ କରାଯାଉ। ତେବେ କୋରାପୁଟ ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜ ଏବଂ ଶିମିଳିପାଳ ଦେଶରେ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟଟନ ଉନ୍ନୟନ ଏକ ଆଦର୍ଶ ମଡେଲ ଭାବେ ପ୍ରତିଷ୍ଠିତ ହୋଇପାରିବ। ମୁଁ ସରକାରଙ୍କୁ ବିନମ୍ର ଅନୁରୋଧ କରୁଛି ଯେ କି ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ ବିଶେଷତଃ ମୟୂରଭଞ୍ଜ ଓ ଶିମିଳିପାଳ ଅଞ୍ଚଳ ଗୁଡ଼ିକରେ ହାତୀ ଗମନାଗମନ ପଥ ମାନବ ବନ୍ୟଜନ୍ତୁ ସଂଘର୍ଷ ଏବଂ ବନ୍ୟ ଅଗ୍ନି ଘଟଣାରୁ ସବୁବେଳେ ପ୍ରଭାବିତ ହୋଇଆସୁଛି। ଏହାର ସଠିକ୍ ସଂରକ୍ଷଣ ପାଇଁ ସ୍ଥାନୀୟ ସମୁଦାୟ ଭାଗିଦାର ଓ ସୁଦୃଢ଼ ରକ୍ଷା ଅନ୍ତତଃ।
Thank you, Chairman Sir, for giving this opportunity to raise an important issue which is concerning most middle class and below middle class families across the country. This alarming rise in exploitative practices by certain private corporate hospitals. Reports from patients, the civil society and consumer bodies point to a disturbing pattern. Unnecessary diagnostic tests and unwanted prolonged hospital stays and with no clinical justifications, and the opaque billing practices that inflate treatment costs far beyond reasonable limits. So these practices hit hardest those who approach private corporate hospitals in emergency. The absence of transparent pricing and norms and effective regulatory oversight leaves them with little choice but to accept whatever they are charged, and pushing many of the families into hardships and into debts also. So recent examples in Hyderabad, the seriousness where some consumer commission ordered a private corporate hospital to compensate a patient with 3 lakhs for overcharging during the COVID-19 period. As reported by the Indian Express, this is not an isolated case. There are many such cases happening across the country. And similarly, a report by Hans India highlights that many private hospitals, they charge from 1,500 to 3,000 rupees for outpatient consultations, which doesn't cover under the government schemes like Ayushman Bharat and all these things. They are being now systematically exploited. Now, I urge this government, in recent light which have come to our notice, we must ensure transparent medical billing, standardization of procedures, protocols, and stronger regulatory safeguards that protect patient rights. The charges displayed in the various private corporate hospitals are different from the charges they collect at the time of this disposal. As our leader and Prime Minister Modi ji has put, as a nation first, hospitals should also display that patients should name boards, display boards. A healthier workforce is necessary if you want to achieve the Prime Minister's vision of making India a Vikasit Bharat and by 2047, because health is also an important sector. Unless until we are healthy, the society can also be healthy and the nation can be healthy. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Srimati Sagarika Ghosh ji.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Migrant labour builds our urban infrastructure and are indispensable to daily urban functioning. Yet it is they who suffer the most. When a terrible fire at a Goa nightclub killed 25 people this weekend, many people who died were migrant labour. When the 2020 COVID lockdown was clamped with 4 hours' notice, it was again migrant labour who suffered the most as they had to walk thousands of kilometres to their home villages. According to the 2011 census, 1 in every 3 urban resident is a migrant worker. Urban migrant workers live in slum clusters without proper facilities. 66% households only in some slum clusters have access to toilets. 65 million live in these slums according to the 2011 census. In Delhi's Vasant Kunj, in the Jai Hind Bengali colony, Bangla-speaking migrants are daily threatened with evictions and demolitions. Bangla-speaking migrant workers in Delhi and Gurgaon have found it particularly difficult since the local police brand them as Bangladeshi when they are bona fide citizens of this country with all identity papers. Women make up almost half of urban migrants. Behind this statistic lies many harrowing stories, sir. 5 months ago, on June 21st, Sonali Khatun, a 26-year-old heavily pregnant migrant worker in Delhi, was picked up along with her family by the Delhi police and deported to Bangladesh with her family, including her 8-year-old son. Another Bangla-speaking migrant worker in Delhi, 32-year-old single mother, Sweetie Baby, and her family were also picked up by the Delhi police and sent to Bangladesh. It required the intervention of the Honorable Supreme Court, and before that the Calcutta High Court, the relentless efforts of the Bengal government and the relentless effort of my Rajya Sabha colleague here, Shri Shamirul Islam, for Sonali Khatun and her 8-year-old son to finally return to India and go home to her family in Birbhum in Bengal. The Calcutta High Court commented on the deportation of these migrant workers by saying, what is the hot haste of the Delhi police and union government in their proceedings against Sonali, deporting her without a fair hearing or adequate inquiry? An MHA memo of May 2025 says this kind of immediate deportation is only allowed in emergent circumstances and only after proper inquiry, which the court said was conspicuously absent. Why this desire to deport Sonali Khatun and Sweetie Bibi without due process? Is it simply because of a political motive to call Bangla-speaking people infiltrators and Ghuspetia? Is there a political motive in the manner in which the hot haste with which these
श्री आदित्य प्रसाद जी।
धन्यवाद सभापति महोदय। मैं आपका ध्यान झारखंड राज्य के पश्चिमी सिंहभूम चाईबासा में 27 अक्टूबर 2025 को हुई एक अत्यंत दुखद और चिंताजनक घटना की ओर आकर्षित करना चाहता हूं। महोदय, चाईबासा सी पोखरिया टाटा बाईपास रोड पर वहां पर प्रत्येक दिन ओवरलोडिंग गाड़ियां चलती है, जिसे 2 वर्षों में सैकड़ों लोगों को दुर्घटना में मृत्यु हो चुकी है। महोदय, वह आदिवासी बहुल क्षेत्र है। उस क्षेत्र के आदिवासी ग्रामीण भाई जो उस क्षेत्र में ही उस राज्य के परिवहन मंत्री रहते हैं, उनसे मिलने के लिए सैकड़ों की संख्या में लोग जा रहे थे अपनी समस्याओं को लेकर के। लेकिन झारखंड राज्य में कांग्रेस के समर्थन से सरकार चल रही है। कांग्रेस के समर्थन से जहां भी सरकार चलती है, आदिवासी, पिछड़ों, दलित सभी समाज के साथ अन्याय और अत्याचार करने का काम करती है। महोदय, दिन भर पुलिस प्रशासन के लोग, प्रशासनिक पदाधिकारी के लोग दिन भर वार्ता करने के लिए लोग नहीं गए, लेकिन जैसे ही शाम ढलने लगा, अंधेरा छाने लगा, पुलिस प्रशासन के लोग वहां पर जा करके जनता के बीच में, गरीब आदिवासियों के बीच में लाठियां चार्ज करने का काम किया गया। पानी के बौछारे छोड़े गए, गोली के बारूद के गोले बरसाए गए। इस प्रकार से अन्याय और अत्याचार करने का काम किया गया। महोदय, मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं कि ऐसे निहत्थे आदिवासियों पर इस प्रकार का अन्याय और अत्याचार करने का अधिकार उस राज्य की सरकार, जिसे कांग्रेस का समर्थन से सरकार चल रही है, किसने दिया है? ये आदिवासी की बात करते हैं, ये झारखंडियों की बात करते हैं, उनके ऊपर अत्याचार और अन्याय करने का काम पूरे राज्य में होने का काम किया जा रहा है। महोदय, मैं कहना चाहता हूं उस घटना में 75 लोगों पर नेम डिफाइड किया गया है। 10 पुरुष को जेल भेजा गया, 7 महिलाओं को जेल भेजा गया और 500 अज्ञात लोगों पर एफआईआर दर्ज किए गए हैं। महोदय, सबसे दुख की बात है कि उस क्षेत्र से हमारे एक पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री आते हैं, जब वहां के चाईबासा के डीसी के पास जब इन सारी समस्याओं को लेकर के अपनी बातों को रखने के लिए जाते हैं, तो वह डीसी उस पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री के साथ अभद्र व्यवहार करने का काम करता है। उसे मुंह लगाने का काम करता है, उसको नीचा दिखाने का काम करता है। मेरे राज्य में पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री को कैबिनेट मंत्री का दर्जा प्राप्त है और वैसे गरीब आदिवासी मुख्यमंत्री के पर वो दुर्व्यवहार करने का काम किया है। मैं इस सदन के माध्यम से आग्रह करना चाहता हूं कि ऐसे भ्रष्ट पदाधिकारी जिनका मनोबल उस राज्य में बढ़ा हुआ है, चूंकि उस राज्य में जिस प्रकार से गोरख धंधे चल रहे हैं, काले धंधे चल रहे हैं, पदाधिकारी उस राज्य में शासन करने का काम कर रहे हैं। जैसे दो पुलिस पदाधिकारी हैं, चाहे अन्य पदाधिकारी हैं, एक उच्च स्तरीय कमेटी बना करके जांच करके उन पर कानूनी कार्रवाई की जाए ताकि दूसरे क्षेत्र में इस प्रकार की घटना की पुनरावृत्ति नहीं हो। यही आग्रह करने वाली जानता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
डॉक्टर कनिमणि NVN सोमोजी।
Thank you, Chairman, sir. I rise today to draw the attention of this august House to a silent yet widespread form of financial discrimination that is affecting millions of Indians, the unchecked power of credit score agencies and their absolute control over the loan approvals. Sir, today a single 3-digit credit score significantly determines and influences access to credit for a wide section of people in India, including the young entrepreneurs, students and farmers. This number is often called the CIBIL score, has become more powerful than income, intent or the repayment capacity. So the banks and NBFCs rely on it blindly and applicants are rejected without explanation, appeal or human assessment. So what is more important is that no robust government's oversight exists over how these private credit score companies collect data, calculate scores or correct errors. Even a small reporting mistake can destroy a citizen's financial future. There is no time-bound grievance readdressal mechanism and the burden of proof is always placed on the borrower, not on the agency. Sir, adding to this concern is the mushrooming of the new private companies that claim to boost or repair the credit scores as a business model. They charge vulnerable citizens hefty fees, promising quick fixes while operating in a regulatory grey zone. Many cases, people are paying just to correct errors that should have never existed in the first place. Sir, the financial inclusion cannot coexist with opaque algorithms and unregulated profiteering. Therefore, I urge the government via this august House to establish a statutory regulator for credit bureaus, mandate transparency in score calculation, ensure accountability for errors, regulate credit score improvement businesses, and make banks assess borrowers holistically, not mechanically. Credit should empower people, not just generate profit. The financial dignity of our citizens must not be outscored to unmonitored private entities. Thank you, sir.
Shriman Harsh Magajan ji.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman, sir. I first want to thank the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, and Honorable Minister for Road Transport and Highways, Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, for the massive support they have given to Himachal Pradesh. Nearly 30,000 crore have already been invested by the central government in our national highways, and the day out is about 45,000 crore. Sir, our Himalayan mountains are extremely fragile. This year's heavy monsoon has caused repeated landslides, road collapses and log closures. Any development work, especially on roads, must therefore be done with great care to protect the ecology. Mountain roads require expertise. Straight, deep hill cutting has become common, and this unscientific approach has destabilized slopes, causing landslides and destroying the terrain permanently. Honorable Gadkari ji has pointed out that often the DPRs themselves are inadequate. Weak DPRs lead to wrong methods on the ground. Agencies preparing DPRs must be scrutinized, and every DPR must be based on proper geotechnical and environmental studies. In this regard, I welcome Gadkari's directive to NHI to include soil and slope stabilization, land protection walls, and geostatic measures in all DPRs. Sir, on-site supervision by trained NHA officials is extremely essential to ensure that contractors follow the approved plan and no shortcuts are taken. Many contractors fail to meet the targets or deliver the quality required. They are guilty of unscientific hill cutting and even muck dumping into the rivers. Such violations must invite strict action, and NHAI officials must ensure that those contractors are constantly monitored and held accountable. I am confident that with these changes and with the continuous support of the central government, we can build stronger and more sustainable roads that protect our fragile Himalayan ecology while improving connectivity for our people. Thank you, sir.
श्रीमान सनीलाल घरासिया जी।
धन्यवाद आदरणीय सभापति महोदय। मैं बड़ी सादरी उदयपुर रेल मार्ग के सुधार एवं नई कनेक्टिविटी के लिए अनुरोध के लिए खड़ा हुआ हूं। मैं राजस्थान उदयपुर से आता हूं, महाराणा प्रताप की धरती से। मैं आपके माध्यम से सरकार को अवगत करवाना चाहता हूं कि राजस्थान का प्रसिद्ध पर्यटक स्थान मेवाड़, जिसमें चित्तौड़, उदयपुर, नाथद्वारा, रणकपुर, बांसवाड़ा, चित्तौड़ में प्रति वर्ष हजारों की संख्या में पर्यटक आते हैं। हाल ही में हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री माननीय नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी ने उदयपुर रेलवे के विकास के लिए कई महत्वपूर्ण कदम उठाए हैं। इस संदर्भ में सरकार को अवगत कराना चाहता हूं कि पिछले वर्ष के आंकड़े देखे जाए तो बड़ी सादड़ी मावली उदयपुर रेल मार्ग पर समस्त रेलवे स्टेशनों से यात्रियों की संख्या अप्रत्याशित वृद्धि हुई है और समस्त क्षेत्रवासियों को सस्ता और सुलभ रेलवे साधन उपलब्ध हो चुका है। क्योंकि भविष्य में अब यह रेलवे लाइन मध्य प्रदेश के नीमच तक जुड़ने वाली है। बड़ी सादड़ी में मावली होकर उदयपुर तक चलने वाली ट्रेन का सफर लगभग 124 किलोमीटर होता है। साथ ही मावली में पावर चेंज करने के समय भी लगता है। यह सब यथावत चल रहे हैं, पर भविष्य में नीमच से आने वाली ट्रेनों का मावली जाकर खेमली, भीमल होकर देवारी और उदयपुर जाना होगा, जिसमें काफी समय लगेगा। इस समस्या के निदान हेतु मैं भारत सरकार से मांग करता हूं कि बड़ी सादड़ी से मावली आ रही ब्रॉडगेज रेलवे लाइन के मध्य भविष्य में भटेवर खिरोदा ओवरब्रिज से दरौली डबोक होकर देवारी स्टेशन तक मिलान के लिए नई ब्रॉडगेज लाइन का सर्वे कर रेल लाइन बिछाया जाए, जिससे यात्रियों को और अधिक लाभ मिल सकेगा। धन्यवाद।
श्रीमती सुधा मूर्ति जी।
Sir, thank you for the time you have given to me. Innovations have helped a lot to the humankind. It has made our life easy and changed the entire world. When you do a technical innovation, you are respected for your achievements, you get an award, people clap. But when it comes to other achievements, people don't bother. I stand here on behalf of all those people who have done a fantastic social innovation. Do we ever remember the person who innovated the idli grinder that made us, all our life, women particularly, so easy in domestic life? Do we remember the person who took husk away from the rice and made it to boil and make it edible rice, and we all enjoy that? We don't. Do we remember the person who made clutches so that many people, millions of people take that simple innovation and made their life much better? We do not remember social innovators at all. So innovation is a part of making our society better. And I want to tell that a person who found out a QR code in Japan did not patent his innovation. He said, no, it should be made free. And with QR code, our economies, the entire global economy is booming very well. But he did it because Bahujana Hitaya, Bahujana Sukhaya. Social innovators always think of helping people, helping society. I can go endless list of social innovations. Sir, Government of India is very kind, and they have many awards instituted in many categories. For example, you are a CSR award from Department of Corporate Affairs, so that a good CSR money who spends on social work will get it. You have technology-oriented many awards, and you do get it from Department of Commerce and Industries. When it comes to social innovation, there are no award line. So I am requesting Government of India to start a new award line, social innovation line, so that social innovators can be recognized, respected, and we get the advantage of that, all of us in the society. Sir, I worked in social sector in my previous avatar for a long time, and I instituted this kind of awards, and many beneficiaries. I saw a man who made, Prashant Gade particularly, he made an artificial hand, and it changed the life of particularly many women who could do their lot more work. There are small things in medical devices they have made. You can recognize the inadequacies in early childhood. Thank you very much, sir, giving me this time. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.
Srimati Jabi Mathur Isam.
Thank you, Chairman. I rise today to bring to the attention of this august House a very grave and alarming threat to public health in Kerala. Sir, recent raids conducted in Kozhikode, Thrissur and Thiruvananthapuram have revealed a shocking truth. Spurious, substandard, poor quality medicines have flooded the pharma market. And sir, this is not a small lapse. These raids expose the utter failure and shameful inefficiency of the State Drugs Control Department. Its negligence has allowed an unregulated network of manufacturers and marketing companies to push substandard medicines from outside Kerala bypassing essential quality checks. And the problem is not limited to Kerala. This is an alarming surge of counterfeit medicines nationwide. So beyond counterfeit medicines, the government sector
nothing will go on record except the members' speech.
Completely.
Nothing will go on record except her speech.
Dr. Harris of Trivandrum Medical College forced to publicly reveal the state of affairs. Basic surgical tools are unavailable. Surgeries are postponed indefinitely. Operation theatres remain idle due to lack of maintenance and supplies. Doctors' repeated plea go unheard, and patients are compelled to buy surgical items out of their own pocket. This is not an administrative or system error. This is complete misgovernance. And sir, the tragic building collapse at Kottayam Medical College, claiming the life of poor Bindu, stands as a painful symbol of collapse of the healthcare system and sector in Kerala under the government led by Chief Minister Sri Pinarayi Vijayan. Chairman, sir,
Madam, don't take any person by name. That is not allowed. Any person by name that is not allowed who is not the member of this house. Please don't go by it. It will not be allowed. Please, by it. Please, by it. I will look into it. If anything goes wrong, if anything is wrong, that we will look into it. Please, by it. Please, by it. That has been already taken care of with any name. Please, by it. Let her complete. Let her complete.
Thank you, sir. Therefore, I strongly urge the central government to direct Central Drug
tolerance.
Organization under Naddaji to conduct
I will come to the point. You please, by you please, by I am coming to the
of the Drugs Control Department of Kerala to restore transparency and ensure the safety and quality of medicines across the state. So Kerala goes to post today, and it be the victory of
now. What is the point of order? You please, by you ask him to.
Rule 258, no member can mislead the House. All these spurious medicines were produced elsewhere and brought to Kerala. Because of the efficiency of the Kerala government, we dictated and found it. And she made some
there is no point of order.
aspirations on our chief minister.
There is no point of
please
order.
delete that.
Please take your seat. Dr. Fawzia Khan ji.
Thank you very much, sir.
Please, brother. Nothing will go on record except our member Dr. Fawzia Khan ji.
Sir, I am losing my time.
You please.
सर,
read.
सर, महाराष्ट्र के किसानों की आत्महत्या की नंबर 1 का राज्य है सर। राज्य के विधानसभा में सरकार के द्वारा कहा गया है कि
John Britas, it is not correct. This is not correct. Please.
Sir, my time. Please give me more time, sir. This is.
You please go ahead. I will give you the time, extra time. Go. प्लीज
सर, महाराष्ट्र किसानों की आत्महत्या की संख्या में देश में नंबर 1 का राज्य है। राज्य के विधानसभा में सरकार के द्वारा ये कहा गया कि महाराष्ट्र में पिछले 3 महीनों में ही सर 766 किसानों ने आत्महत्या की है, जो अपने आप में एक रिकॉर्ड है, जिसमें से 676 किसानों को सरकारी मदद मिल पाई, 200 को नहीं मिल पाई क्योंकि वो निकष में नहीं बैठे। सर, इस साल की अत्यधिक बारिश और व्यापक बाढ़ के बाद महाराष्ट्र में किसानों की स्थिति पर गहरी चिंता है। 31,628 करोड़ रुपए की राहत पैकेज घोषणा की गई बड़े सेलिब्रेशन के साथ सर, लेकिन वास्तविकता कुछ और है। पहले तो केंद्रीय कृषि मंत्री सम्माननीय शिवराज सिंह चौहान जी ने एक सवाल के जवाब में लोकसभा में कहा कि अधिक सहायता के लिए महाराष्ट्र सरकार से कोई प्रस्ताव ही प्राप्त नहीं हुआ सर, प्रस्ताव ही प्राप्त नहीं हुआ। उन्होंने लोकसभा में बताया कि एसडीआरएफ के किसानों को 4,176 करोड़ दिए गए, जिसमें से 3,180 केंद्र का हिस्सा है, और उन्होंने कहा कि 1,13,455 किसानों के बैंक खातों में 82 करोड़ 37,50,000 रुपए डाल दिए। सर, कहाँ 31,628 और कहाँ 80 करोड़ रुपए? फिर आंकड़ों के खेल में बेचारा किसान हैरान है सर। राज्य सरकार के कृषि मंत्री दत्तात्रेय भरणे जी ने आकलन के अनुसार 29 जिलों के 191 तालुकों में 14.36 लाख हेक्टेयर क्षेत्र बाधित हुआ, परंतु सर राज्य सरकार ने जो अपनी रिपोर्ट भेजी है केंद्र को, उसमें 1,10,309 बताया है सर। कहाँ 14 लाख और कहाँ 1 लाख? ये तफावत किसानों के साथ अन्याय और मजाक है। ये एक नियमित मौसमी झटका नहीं सर, ये बहुत बड़ा कृषि नुकसान है, जिससे लाखों किसान बाधित हैं। मौजूदा फसल बीमा मानदंडों के तहत अभी संख्या बहुत बाकी है। सारे किसानों को मदद मिलनी चाहिए सर। मेरा सवाल है, सरकार से सवाल है, कब लाडले बनेंगे किसान? किसान कब लाडले बनेंगे? क्या कोई चुनाव का इंतजार है?
धन्यवाद सभापति जी। मेरा विषय है वृक्ष क्षेत्र मथुरा वृंदावन बरसाना और गिरिराज गोवर्धन में तीर्थ पर्यटन, पर्यावरण और अवसंरचना के समग्र व तीव्र विकास की आवश्यकता। माननीय सभापति महोदय, मैं आज सदन का ध्यान ब्रजभूमि की ओर आकर्षित करना चाहता हूं। वह पवित्र धरा जहां कान्हा की मुस्कान, गोवर्धन का पर्वत, बरसाना की लठामार होली और वृंदावन का माधुर्य करोड़ों भारतीयों की आस्था का आधार है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्रीमान नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में बीते वर्षों में ब्रज क्षेत्र के विकास को नई दिशा मिली है। मथुरा वृंदावन में सड़कें, प्रकाश व्यवस्था, परिक्रमा मार्ग का विस्तार, बरसाना उत्सवों के दौरान आधुनिक सुरक्षा प्रबंधन, गोवर्धन परिक्रमा मार्ग पर स्वच्छता और सतत व्यवस्था और तीर्थ यात्रियों के लिए उन्नत सुविधाओं ने इस क्षेत्र को वैश्विक धार्मिक मानचित्र पर और सशक्त स्थान दिया है। इन कार्यों के लिए मैं माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी और केंद्र सरकार का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। फिर भी सभापति महोदय, ब्रज क्षेत्र में कुछ तात्कालिक चुनौतियां हैं जिन पर शीघ्र ध्यान देने की आवश्यकता है। यमुना नदी का मथुरा वृंदावन क्षेत्र में यमुना का प्रदूषण तीर्थ यात्रियों और स्थानीय लोगों के लिए गंभीर चिंता का विषय है। आवश्यक है कि एसटीपी की क्षमता बढ़ाई जाए, प्रदूषक स्रोतों पर निगरानी कड़ी हो और नदी के किनारे जैव विविधता संरक्षण को प्रोत्साहित किया जाए। नवरात्रि, जन्माष्टमी और बरसाना उत्सव के समय श्रद्धालुओं की संख्या कई गुना बढ़ जाती है। इसके लिए स्मार्ट ट्रैफिक मैनेजमेंट, ई शटल बस सेवा और मल्टी लेवल पार्किंग की अत्यंत आवश्यकता है। मानवर स्थानीय युवाओं को टूर गाइडिंग जैसी सुविधा, हॉस्पिटलिटी, कारीगरी और सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रमों में प्रशिक्षण के लिए विशेष पैकेज दिया जाए। माननीय सभापति महोदय, मेरी विनम्र प्रार्थना है कि मथुरा से वृंदावन तक, वृंदावन से बरसाना तक और बरसाना से गिरिराज गोवर्धन तक मेट्रो रेल सेवा प्रारंभ करने पर गंभीरता से विचार किया जाए। यह न केवल करोड़ों श्रद्धालुओं की यात्रा को सुगम बनाएगा, बल्कि पूरे ब्रज क्षेत्र में यातायात का दबाव कम करेगा, पर्यावरण संरक्षण में मदद करेगा और तीर्थ पर्यटन को विश्व स्तरीय पहचान भी प्रदान करेगा। जैसे काशी और अयोध्या ने अभूतपूर्व परिवर्तन देखा, उसी आशा के साथ मैं सरकार से निवेदन करता हूं कि ब्रज क्षेत्र के लिए भी एक विशेष समग्र विकास योजना लाई जाए।
श्रीमान गोला बाबू राव कारो।
Sir, thank you, sir. I want to raise an important issue in Visakhapatnam city pollution. Sir, I am deeply perplexed as to where should I start from. Should I start from being happy that Visakhapatnam is rapidly progressing as the economic hub of the Andhra Pradesh? Or should I start from the showing concern the Visakhapatnam has featured for 6 days in the list of top 10 most polluted cities in India based on so-and-so? As per Center for Research and Energy and Clean Air, total of 67 cities appeared in the daily top 10 most polluted cities list during September 24. Of these, Visakhapatnam appeared at least 5 times in a month and become the most polluted city in AP. The pollution levels in Visakhapatnam are 10 times higher than the WHO recommended limit. The situation in September 24, November 25 has not improved but worsened. Sir, the reasons are many. Industrial pollution is the primary cause, followed by the vehicular emission and dust, the road dust and the construction activities, the biomass burning. And as per CPCB, Visakhapatnam has been identified as an attainment city for failing to meet the national ambient air quality standards. Secondly, Delhi government does not allow the vehicles which are 10 years or 15 years old respectively. The result is vehicle owners are selling these vehicles to people other than states, the cities. And I am told that people from AP are buying many such vehicles which added fuel to the fire. Thirdly, more than 70% of posts.
Please, my dear. Please, my dear. Please, my dear.
Sir, he doesn't know anything about Vizag.
Please, my dear.
The more than 70%.
Please, my dear. Please, my dear.
The 294 AP Pollution Control Board remain vacant. If that is the situation, how the Pollution Control Board conducts the monthly and quarterly sampling exercise for air, water bodies, etc. Sir, the unfortunate part is that National Green Tribunal has also directed all states to fill the vacancies by April this year, but nothing has happened. Hence, I appeal to the Honorable Prime Minister and the Environment Minister to personally intervene and direct the states, first to fill all the vacancies in Pollution Control Board, secondly, take advantage of Union Government's National Clean Air Programs initiative, thirdly, the strict monitoring of air quality in Visakhapatnam be done, and finally, let the CPCB monitor what these doing to mitigate.
Manas Ranjan Maharajji.
Honorable Chairman, sir, I rise today with deep anguish. Every winter, Delhi does not face pollution it faces a public health disaster. For weeks, air quality index remains above 400 and 500. Sir, this is not bad air, this is toxic air. It is harming our children, our seniors, and every person who walks these streets. Sir, coming from Odisha, a state that fights cyclones, floods, and natural calamities with unmatched discipline, I know what a crisis looks like. But what troubles me is this in Delhi. A man-made disaster returns every year, and we continue to hold our most important parliamentary sessions right in the middle of it. Yes. Sir, our members, our officers, drivers, sanitation workers, and security personnel breathe this poisonous air every day just to keep this house functioning. We cannot ignore their suffering. We cannot pretend this is normal. That is why, with utmost respect but with complete fairness, I place one clear appeal before the government. Shift the winter and budget session out of Delhi until the air becomes safe. Sir, India has many capable cities with clean air and strong infrastructure. From Bhubaneswar to Hyderabad, from Gandhinagar to Bengaluru, and from Goa to Dehradun. If Odisha can evacuate lakhs of people within hours during a cyclone and save lives with precision, then surely the Government of India can relocate 2 sessions of Parliament to protect the health of its own members and staff. Sir, this is not about politics. This is about life and dignity. Parliament must show leadership. Parliament must show that the right to breathe comes before convenience. I urge the government to act with urgency and begin a structured consultation without delay. Thank you, sir.
Shriman Sadanand Magalu, State Danwade.
Sir, my subject is demand for immediate repair and upgradation of Goa-Belgavi National Highway, including Anmod and Sollaghat section. I rise to draw the attention of this August House to the difficult condition of the Goa-Belgavi National Highway, one passing through Anmod Ghat and the other passing through Sollaghat. These highways are a lifeline for both Goa and Karnataka, supporting the movement of passengers, agricultural produce and essential commodities. At present, the condition of several stretches is far from satisfactory. The Ghat sections are narrow, prone to landslide and often blocked during the monsoon. In the recent monsoon, parts of Anmod Ghat collapsed due to heavy rains, cutting off connectivity for hours and sometimes even days. In such situation, there is no alternative route for Belgavi. As the entire stretch passes through hilly and forested terrain, this causes great inconvenience to commuters, long traffic blockades, hardship to travelers and heavy economic losses. Goa has strong links with Belgavi for medical, educational, commercial and family needs. People travel regularly for treatment, studies, shopping and business. Nearly 80% of the vegetables and fruits consumed in Goa reach the state through these highways. With the new year approaching, it is important to keep these roads in proper condition. Any disruption will affect the supply of essential goods and cause hardship to thousands of families and traders in Goa. I request the government to urgently take up repairs and strengthening of these highways, especially the Ghat section. Proper monitoring, warning system and rescue arrangement should be put in place to avoid long blockages during landslide or accidents. Chairman, sir, I sincerely urge the government to speed up the ongoing works and ensure that this lifeline remains safe, motorable and reliable at all times. Thank you, sir.
Shriman Samirul Islam ji.
মশাই, আমাকে বলার সুযোগ দেওয়ার জন্য আপনাকে ধন্যবাদ জানাই। আমি আপনার মাধ্যমে কেন্দ্রীয় সরকারের কাছে কুড়মালি ভাষা, রাজবংশী ভাষা ও কামতাপুরী ভাষাকে অষ্টম তফসিলের অন্তর্ভুক্ত করা দাবি জানাচ্ছি। পশ্চিমবঙ্গের ক্ষেত্রে জঙ্গলমহলের জেলাগুলো, বিশেষ করে পুরুলিয়া, ঝাড়গ্রাম, বাঁকুড়া এবং পশ্চিম মেদিনীপুরের অধিকাংশ কুর্মী সম্প্রদায়ের মানুষজন কুড়মালি ভাষাতে কথা বলেন। পশ্চিমবঙ্গ ছাড়া আসাম, ঝাড়খণ্ড ও উড়িষ্যাতে আছে কুর্মী সম্প্রদায়ের মানুষ। আমাদের পশ্চিমবঙ্গের মুখ্যমন্ত্রী মাননীয় মমতা বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায় 2018 সালে বিধানসভাতে কুড়মালি ভাষাকে স্বীকৃতি দিয়েছেন। তাছাড়া কুর্মী ডেভেলপমেন্ট বোর্ড তৈরি করে দিয়েছেন। পুরুলিয়াতে অবস্থিত সিধু কানু বিরসা বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ে কুর্মী সাহিত্য চর্চার অনুমোদন দিয়েছেন এবং আরও 2টি কলেজে কুড়মালি ভাষা সাহিত্য চর্চা করা হয়। আমরা প্রত্যেকে জানি মাতৃভাষা মাতৃদুগ্ধের সমান, তাই আমি আপনার মাধ্যমে কেন্দ্র সরকারের কাছে কুড়মালি ভাষাকে 8ম তফসিলের অন্তর্ভুক্ত করার দাবি জানাচ্ছি। চেয়ারম্যান মহাশয়, পশ্চিমবঙ্গের উত্তরবঙ্গের জেলাগুলো বিশেষ করে কোচবিহার, আলিপুরদুয়ার, জলপাইগুড়ি, দার্জিলিং, দিনাজপুর ও মালদাতে রাজবংশী সম্প্রদায়ের মানুষজন বসবাস করেন এবং রাজবংশী সম্প্রদায়ের অধিকাংশ মানুষ রাজবংশী ভাষা ও কামতাপুরী ভাষাতে কথা বলেন। পশ্চিমবঙ্গ ছাড়া রাজবংশী সম্প্রদায়ের মানুষজন আছেন আসাম, মেঘালয় ও বিহারে। পশ্চিমবঙ্গের মাননীয় মুখ্যমন্ত্রী মমতা বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায় 2018 সালে পশ্চিমবঙ্গের বিধানসভাতে রাজবংশী ভাষা ও কামতাপুরী ভাষাকে বিধানসভাতে স্বীকৃতি দিয়েছেন। রাজবংশী ডেভেলপমেন্ট বোর্ড তৈরি করেছেন এবং রাজবংশী ভাষা অ্যান্ড একাডেমি বোর্ডও তৈরি করেছেন। এছাড়া 2010টি সরকারি স্কুল তৈরি করেছেন যেখানে রাজবংশী ভাষা ও কামতাপুরী ভাষাতে পড়ানো হয়। আমি আপনার মাধ্যমে কেন্দ্র সরকারের কাছে দাবি জানাচ্ছি রাজবংশী ভাষা ও কামতাপুরী ভাষাকে যেন 8ম তফসিলের অন্তর্ভুক্ত করা যায়। চেয়ারম্যান মহাশয়, আমি আরেকটা গুরুত্বপূর্ণ বিষয় আপনার সামনে তুলে ধরতে চাই। দেশের আদিবাসী মানুষজন প্রকৃতির পূজারী, উনারা প্রকৃতিকে পূজা করেন। উনাদের প্রধান ধর্ম হলো সারি ধর্ম ও সান্না ধর্ম। পশ্চিমবঙ্গের ক্ষেত্রে সাঁওতাল, ভূমিজ, মুন্ডা, কোরা, লোধা, ওরাং, সবর, বীরহর, মেচ, লোরা, রাভা, কারিয়া, মেহেলি, চিকবারাইক ইত্যাদি জনগোষ্ঠীর মানুষ এই সারি ও সান্না ধর্ম পালন করেন। আমাদের পশ্চিমবঙ্গের মাননীয় মুখ্যমন্ত্রী মমতা বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায় 2023 সালে উনাদের কথা ভেবে এবং ওনাদের বিভিন্ন ইস্যু ভেবে 2023 সালে সারি ধর্ম ও সান্না ধর্মকে পশ্চিমবঙ্গের বিধানসভাতে স্বীকৃতি দেওয়া হয়েছে। সংবিধান অনুযায়ী ধর্মীয় বিশ্বাস পালনের অধিকার প্রত্যেক মানুষের আছে। তাই আপনার মাধ্যমে আমি কেন্দ্র সরকারের কাছে দাবি জানাচ্ছি কেন্দ্র সরকার এই আদিবাসী সম্প্রদায়ের মানুষ যিনারা লক্ষ লক্ষ বছর ধরে এই ভারতবর্ষে বসবাস করছে তাদের ধর্ম সারি ধর্ম ও সান্না ধর্মর যেন স্বীকৃতি তাড়াতাড়ি দেওয়া হয় এবং পশ্চিমবঙ্গ সরকার থেকে বারবার চিঠি পাঠানো হচ্ছে সারি সান্না ধর্মর আপডেট নেওয়ার জন্য, কিন্তু পশ্চিমবঙ্গ সরকারকে কোনোভাবে রিপ্লাই কেন্দ্র সরকার দিচ্ছে না। আমি আপনার মাধ্যমে দাবি জানাচ্ছি কেন্দ্র সরকার যেন সারি ধর্ম এবং সান্না ধর্মর স্বীকৃতি ইমিডিয়েটলি।
শ্রীমান মেহতা রঘুনাথ রেড্ডি গারু।
Sir, interim improvements to the Kadapa Renugunta section of NH 716 till completion of new greenfield highway project, sir. This will come under Hyderabad and Chennai expressway, sir. The Kadapa Renugunta section of NH 716, which continues to serve as the primary corridor for the people of Rayalaseema, has deteriorated severely even as work on the new greenfield 4-laning project has begun. The existing highway, burdened and heavy traffic and diversions, has become unsafe, accident-prone and extremely difficult to travel, causing immense hardship to commuters, patients, students and transport operators, sir. And further, the alignment of the existing road is not intact. The stretch contains several sharp and unsafe curves, making travel, particularly at night, highly dangerous. These curves require immediate realignment or correction to enhance road safety, sir. Until the new greenfield alignment is completed, the public has no alternative route. Therefore, urgent interim measures are required, including strengthening of the existing road, filling of potholes, improvement of road surface, correction of hazardous curves, and installation of adequate signages and safety features. Even though new road is formed, the same road will also be under utilization, resulting decrease of congestion of the new highway, sir. I request the Honorable Minister of the Transport and Highways to issue necessary directions to the implementing agencies and ensure the clear timeline for these interim improvements so that the people of the Rayalaseema do not continue to suffer during the construction period of the new highway, sir. Thank you, sir.
Shriman Jaggesh ji.
Thank you, sir. Sir, my concern over raising piracy threat to the Indian film industry, sir. Today, piracy has become one of the biggest threat to the both Indian and the global film industry with the rapid expansion of digital platforms, high-speed internet and advanced technology. Unauthorized copies of the films are being being sent on the online within hours of their release. This illegal circulation results in substantial financial losses to the producers, distributors, and the production houses, thereby undermining the legitimate revenue of the industry. The film sector encompasses a vast, diverse workforce, including technicians, writers, editors, set designers, musicians, junior artists, and numerous other whole livelihood dependence on the success of the film project. When a film revenue is adversely affected by piracy, it is this large network of workers who bear the impact, reduced earning, discourage investment, restrict the scope of the project, and hamper the growth of the culture and the creative industry. Although legal provisions exist to counter piracy, the network involved continue to function using sophisticated tools, frequently changing the domains, mirror websites, encrypted channels, and anonymous file-sharing platforms. These evolving methods pose a formidable challenge of enforcement agencies and demand stronger technology-driven inventions. Therefore, I urge the central government to strengthen the digital enforcement mechanism, adopt advanced cyber surveillance tools, and impose stricter punitive measures on those involved in piracy to protect the future of the Indian cinema. Coordinated action between the government agencies, the film industry, and the cyber security experts is essential to safeguard our creative ecosystem and protect the nation's cultural heritage and our cinema also. Thank you.
श्रीमती पुणो देवी नेतम।
धन्यवाद अध्यक्ष महोदय। मेरा विषय है अवैध रूप से चल रहे नाइट क्लब और हुक्का बार को बंद करने के संबंध में। महोदय, गोवा में एक नाइट क्लब में भीषण आग लगने से 25 लोगों की दर्दनाक मृत्यु होती है, जिसमें 4 विदेशी भी शामिल है। यह घटना बड़ी दुखद है, लेकिन इसे गोवा ही नहीं अन्य प्रदेशों में भी अवैध रूप से चलाए जा रहे।
क्वेश्चन नंबर 121 श्रीमती